Would anyone else like to comment on the place where we are right now? And Eileen, you've mentioned quite a few things that were, that are frightening, that are part of this pushback that the Secretary General talked about. Pushing people back from recording what the police are doing. Frightening. Pushing back on African American history. Pushing back on history. Um, very troubling.
And immigrants and on and on and on. So yes, and these become allies when you get to the point where we're all in distress. When we went to our county commission, we actually had our chair for the Human Rights Board present our statement for the ordinance, and our chair was a he. And that helped a lot because we had our male allies with us, people who were very well respected in the community. Of course, we are a blue county in a red state, and that changes from one year to the next. But at a time like this, I think we have the attention of a lot more allies than we know. And looking within our group and the groups that we're affiliated with to branch out and do that. I wear my button that says, I read banned books. When I saw the Librarians Union get together and those ladies had posters made in front as you come into the library and everyone got buttons, and the teachers unions got together and collected banned books and had community network town hall meetings they came to with the banned books for distribution. So we don't have to work harder. In some cases, we just need to work smarter so that we're seeing that we have allies who want the same end in terms of healthcare, in terms of the threat to uh, the birth rate and women dying in childbirth. I mean, that should not have to come back to visit any of us.
Well, great points, Eileen. I think one real takeaway of what you've said is building coalitions of allies is critical. And they're in a way the scattershot opposition, the scattershot problems we're dealing with create more allies. And so, but they need to be brought together. And so, that is a lot of work. Elahi, please go ahead.
Oh, I just want to echo what Dr. Eileen Davis Geronium. Thank you for being here. But I want to echo your voice because librarians are quiet but very powerful people, very, very strong network in California. Also, I'm connected with them, and they are guardian of information and knowledge, and they are the one who can really play a key role in this current situation that we are facing. So thank you, Dr. Eileen Davis Geronium, to mention that and to highlight the role of librarian. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And Eileen, you also mentioned the role of attorneys, and I think that's very critical also, that getting legal help is important, and some of the best pushback on what's going on.
And the faith-based organizations.
Go ahead, Eileen.
Organizations. I'm sorry, I'm speaking out of turn. I'm just saying, add to the list. I used to do partnerships and collaborations for the National Council for UNA USA, and I know that there are certain faith denominations where the head of that particular faith or denomination has come out in support of women's issues, and it's just a matter of sending policy papers out to these organizations, inviting them to meetings and building from there.
Mm-hmm. Good point. I know my own church, the Episcopal Church, is definitely in support of women's rights and also gay rights. Also,
I'm an ECW member. Amen.
Gail, please go ahead.
Just another couple of points building on what everyone's saying is I didn't actually read the statement I had prepared because I thought Eli had covered the ground so well, but the bedrock of Cities for CEDAW is really coalition building. And I think right now, as everyone is now saying, and Eileen just mentioned again, is I think we need to be more intentional and cast a wider net for our allies out there and build a stronger coalitions. We've always had our traditional members, AAUW and League of Women Voters and Zonta and others, but there are many, many more, including those in prison reform and librarians and tradeswomen and labor unions and men's groups and others that can be stronger allies and give us a stronger base. And secondly, I would mention the concern that is developing about data. We know now in the short time of this administration, they are not data friendly. And we have had a hard time getting the data we need. We have to be very focused in all our research groups and our mandate to do a gender analysis. We're going to have much more difficulty in getting disaggregated data about the women that we want to serve in our communities. I've seen statements now in White House publications saying we want data only in the aggregate. We're only looking broad. We don't want disaggregated data, actually stated. So this will be a problem. I'd like us, as we form our coalitions and go forward in a kind of collective or steering committee now, that we could develop perhaps from this conversation, we could talk about ways. There are groups that will try to get us the data, but we have to work harder. And thirdly, I'd like to talk just briefly about, or get it on the table, is DEI, DEIA in terms of accessibility as well. We're finding that there are civil rights groups now who have reformulated many DEIA initiatives. Alice sent a wonderful document to me this week that I just finally digested the other day, and I will send it out to all of you. It does reformulate the language, but we are going to be prevented from speaking of women, of girls, of people with disabilities, of migrant workers and marginalized communities. We have to find another language. And so what that means is we have to work harder, as Eileen said, smarter and harder. But they're out there. We have to incorporate more work at the bottom level, at the lowest level, so we can find what civil rights groups, ACLU and Women's Policy Research and others are finding for us, because they're doing the work that will help us move forward. But so I just wanted to mention again, coalition building, DEI, and data as new challenges, stronger challenges for us now. And I'm hoping we can find a way to collectively address them.
Thank you, Gail. And Mary Rose?
Yeah, I put in the chat an example on how to approach this. When you mention CEDAW, people's eyes are going to glaze over. When you try to start explaining it, people's eyes are going to glaze over. So I put in the chat an example of what I did utilizing the California Budget and Policy Center in collaboration with the California Commission on the Status of Women and Girls. They unveiled a Women's Wellbeing Index, which has data for 58 counties in California. There's a few other states that are using this, and you could contact them to find out who. But anyway, so what I did was I contacted them when I was at the launch. I watched it on Zoom, and then I contacted them afterwards because I was shocked because our county was so low in the standings. And I said, can you put together something so I could bring this to local stakeholders? I had no idea how I was going to do this, but they agreed. And I contacted a small group, which I put in the chat, a webinar that we did explaining how this data impacts our county. And they just ran with it. We had a county board of supervisor, one of the representative from the local West Company business development nonprofit, which is huge in this county. And I want to mention something that I think is important, because I put this in my Substack column that I have. I also put it, I got my Bay City News editor to allow me to write something about this and post it on the regional, this publication goes regionally in Northern California. And also I'm trying to use social media and try to find key stakeholders. So I'm giving you some examples, and look at the webinar, how we had a discussion, because it wasn't, we had some presentation and then we had a discussion. And then people contacted each other to get more information on how to move certain things forward. And Eileen has something important to say about the unions. Unions, for example, have newsletters. League of Women Voters have newsletters. They're always looking for speakers. We're not using social media or organizations who use social media that can put this out for us. So that goes along with the collaborations that Gail and Eileen have been talking about. How do we get out of our silos and partner with each other? So this is just a little example of how to get out of the silo of the word CEDAW, right? And get it down to community level collaborations. And
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah.
Mhm. Thank you. And Eileen, why don't you put in a word? And then I'm thinking maybe we should go to the video that Sung has presented.
Very
But Eileen,
quickly, just still
Go ahead.
piggybacking on the same theme of building collaborations. I have a granddaughter who graduated from college in Boston, and watching and listening to the keynote speaker and having been a student who graduated during that civil rights uh, movement, I remember the speakers in the colleges way back when, and it's back again after what happened to Harvard University and all of the other schools, Columbia, et cetera, et cetera. We have a lot of help on the university campuses. I went online just to see which universities I could get a glimpse of a graduate speaker, and sure enough, Duke, NYU, they all had human rights speakers. Having been a speaker at a local graduation for a high school, I had to ask, what can I say and what can I not say in the state of Florida? I don't want the school to be challenged or threatened in any way because of something I say, because coming in from UNA USA, we're the gold standard for diversity, equity, accessibility, and inclusion. Everything I say is going to be attached to that. But somehow, despite all of the limitations that these organizations and threats that the universities have had, they've allowed speakers to have a bit more freedom. So we might want to find out and touch bases with speakers. Boston College had one from Carnegie Foundation, but some of the foundations also may have availability of or resources in terms of networking. Thank you.
Thank you, Eileen. So reaching out to some of these big institutions that might be able to help us with human rights. Now,